I'm Dana Brooks of Fasig Brooks, and I'm joined today with my law partner, Jimmy Fasig.
Hi.
Jimmy, I'd like to talk about some of the questions we get online.
Sure.
People just asking generic questions. And one I see a lot is, I hear about people getting different values, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I hear about my cousin got hurt and is much, hurt much worse than this other person, but they, don't get as much money. And so people have a lot of confusion about what those indicates values.
We see that all the time online where people say, oh, well, this person got hurt much less than me, and they're getting more money.
Right.
And so there's several factors. Again, how does that happen? And so this is an important thing for people to understand that are involved in a personal injury case, is that every case is completely different. And there are so many different factors that go into the evaluation of a case that determine what the case is worth, that you can't compare one person's case to another just like that.
Well, what are some of the reasons?
Okay, well, the first thing you got to look at is liability.
Yeah.
How clear is it that this is somebody else's fault?
Yeah, because here's the other thing too. Even if you're partially at fault, that's not a bar to recovery. Right. It just means you're going to have to pay the freight on the damage you caused yourself, and they're going to be responsible for the damages they caused you to have. Right,
but if it's a clear liability case, like for example a rear-end collision case, when the defendant is in the rear vehicle, well, those cases are easier to prove, and so therefore they're going to be more valuable than a case where there's questionable liability.
Yeah.
So that's factor number one. Mm-hmm. Factor number two is big factor that people a lot of times don't take into consideration is there any money available?
That's a big deal. I mean, is there insurance to cover? Because not all the time there's insurance, and then when people don't have insurance, they usually don't have a big pile of assets we can pursue and collect as well.
Yeah, so you could have somebody that's paralyzed that only gets a $100,000 settlement, for example, and then you've got another person that's paralyzed that got multiple millions of dollars because there was only $100,000 to get in the first person's case.
Yes.
So that is another factor that goes into it.
Public service announcement, this is why you need to buy uninsured motorist coverage, because you are buying protection against other people's negligence. And the people who are negligent don't always have insurance or assets to pay for the damage that they cause. So protect yourself by making sure you get uninsured motorist coverage.
Gotcha. And then the next thing, extremely important, is objective evidence of injury.
So important.
The more evidence that we have to prove the injury, the more valuable the case. So if you've got an injury that shows up on an x-ray, like a broken bone, that's very helpful for your case in terms of the case value. If you've got an MRI that shows a herniated disc with nerve impingement, for example, that's very helpful. That's objective evidence that we can prove your injury to support or corroborate your subjective complaints, which is very important for us to help in boosting the value of your case.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing has to do with whether a person has a permanent injury.
Yes.
We have a specific law in Florida. People think if I've been injured at all, I'm entitled to pain and suffering. Well, if it's in a motor vehicle accident, that's not always the case. You want to talk about what kind of claims do get compensated for pain and suffering?
Well, the only thing in an automobile accident case, the typical automobile accident case is only where you can prove that you have a permanent injury or permanent scarring. Yeah. And there are some exceptions like bus accidents, motorcycle accidents. Those are exceptions to that rule. Also, if you get injured by somebody that's from out of state, then that could be an exception. But essentially, yes, whether or not you have a permanent injury is another factor.
Yeah.
The other factor that goes along with the permanent injury is, what are my future medical needs going to be? Because that's one of the big things that I've noticed in jury trials is that you get juries are very, very likely to give money for medical treatment.
Sure.
They don't like to give a lot of money for pain and suffering. But medical treatment, they're okay with that, because I think there's just a general human tendency to want to make sure that people have medical treatment.
But they're made whole, and they don't have to pay for that out of pocket after doing nothing wrong. So, and then they trust that doctors are going to only provide necessary medical treatment. So they're fine with that, and they're fine with lost wages.
But Dana, I just want to tell you what I think is probably the most important factor in determining the value of your case.
What is it?
Your lawyer. You have absolutely got to choose a lawyer that cares about you, that knows how to value these cases, and that's going to give you guidance along the way to make sure you get the right type of medical treatment, that you're properly prepared for your deposition, that you're properly prepared for recorded statements, that you get the right diagnostic studies, that you go to the type of doctors or the doctors that are willing to testify for you in court if necessary. Those are all big factors in determining the ultimate value of your case. I can't tell you how many cases I've seen come to us from other lawyers and they've already been screwed up.
Yeah,
and so now we've got to clean up.
Case.
Yeah, we've got to clean up what another lawyer, a mess that another lawyer made. So those are the main factors that I can think of. There are a million other factors that determine the value of the case, but I think that's a good.
That's a good way to understand why you could look at two different people having similar injuries and go, wow, their outcomes are wildly different, because there's just so many variables that go into play. So thanks for tuning in today, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.